Hi, I'm Steve Faktor and welcome to the McFuture. Let's talk about revolution. We're surrounded by things that look revolutionary. In business, new technologies like Bitcoin and solar and social networks make bankers, oil barons, and media moguls rethink getting that third home or a third wife. And culture is transforming fast. In the 60s, mixing races was inconceivable. Today, there's no other way to get on Instagram. Even gay marriage is old news. Now the coolest thing you can do is quarrel with your own genitals. All this change is scaring the hell out of this guy. Then there are all the political movements and potential for chaos. The Tea Party, 99 percenters, Feel the Burn, Trump Train, Brexit, Anonymous. All this turmoil is part of a massive transformation of the American dream. The American dream is going full Mickey Rourke. Its face is changing fast. I'm about to show you how these uprisings are not breaking us apart or threatening the establishment. Instead, they're reshaping the American dream into something very, very different. Automation is a cruel mistress. She gives us all these shiny new toys and new ways to enjoy them, but she hands the spoils of victory to capital and capital owners, not the workers. Suddenly, we find ourselves surrounded by what's possible, but discouraged by what's probable. People are realizing that today's fat old power brokers, the politicians, the corporations, guys with caviar stains on their mistresses, they have no intention of inviting us to the abundance. So the battle lines are drawn. On one side, you've got these powerful incumbents with massive stakes and investments in the current system. On the other side, you've got these decentralized insurgents, ironically powered by the very tools that are displacing them. Old institutions feel their powers fading. They've never been more afraid or more dangerous. They'll defend status quo until their yachts reach Atlantis. Plus, human nature's on their side. Everyone fears change, even fearless innovators with defiant monologues. There's no denying it. Something huge is happening. Let's call it revolution for now. There are three parts to this revolution. The first is new tools and technologies. A few will change the balance of power, but most of them will preserve it. The second part are the actions that we take using those tools. Legal, subversive, some by individuals, some by groups or countries. Finally, these actions will create new systems or improve the ones we have today. Taken together, it's a formula. New tools plus actions equals new systems. It's a recipe for our future, maybe the McFuture. Let's start with the new tools of the revolution and who controls them. Big cash is pouring into all kinds of new technologies. Soon robots will tuck our kids in at night. We'll print our meals and the plates they're served on. And artificial intelligence will create love dolls that make our spouses sweat. Rich people will live for well over 100 years, and eventually the rest of us will too. And all physical things will be smart long after we are not. But who controls all these new tools? Let's start with today's most beloved tool builders, startups. Every morning, Silicon Valley titans and nerd armies wave their iPads in the air and scream, "Disruption!" Then they slide into their cocoons to rain ones and zeros of doom on some unsuspecting industry. Except, startups are Trojan horses. They think of themselves as revolutionaries when in fact they're just a farm team for the establishment. Very few make a profit or become standalone companies or change the world. 86% are acquired by big companies. Jet.com was supposed to conquer Amazon.com. It got bought by Walmart. Dollar Shave Club was supposed to rain cheap razors on the masses, although that sounds kind of bloody, but they were bought by Unilever. Vice Media, supposed to be the biker gang of news. They're part owned by Rupert Murdoch, Walt Disney, and A&E networks. So the startup revolution is mostly a story they tell themselves. Our tool makers are making big business bigger. The Fortune 500 used to be 35% of GDP in 1955. Today, it's 72%. And 100 companies make up half of our entire economy. Half. Think about that. Our president can take all of their CEOs' calls in 2 afternoons. And they're using their advantages, their cash, protective regulations, scale, brand, to control as many of our fancy new tools as they can. This concentration, it's happening in every single industry. So what actions are we taking with these tools? Let's look at 2 examples. The first is this state of unrest. Think about Europe. At this point, staying in Europe is like wearing a Victorian gown to SoulCycle. People in countries are aching to break into small, manageable tribes. They no longer need these sprawling empires to thrive. Even within countries, factions are fracturing. Without good jobs and upward mobility, groups start to eat away at each other. It's the billionaires. No, it's the Muslims. It's the Chinese. No, it's the cops. The corporations. It's definitely the Mexicans. These new tribes, based on our shared causes or common enemies, are now overturning other outmoded or just maybe unpopular ones. Our second set of actions is even bigger. The battle over data, surveillance, and privacy will shape our future. It is the real disruption, but only informed citizens vaguely even pay attention to it. As our lives become more virtual, it's pretty clear that those who own the software will own the world. Software is controlled by giant corporations and used by advertisers, governments, hackers, clumsy employees. When you sign Microsoft's 35,000 word user agreement, 35,000 words, you sign away your legal rights to sue. You're no longer a US citizen. You're an avatar in Microsoftia. There's very little that we do online that cannot be traced back to us. Yet, Americans have no clue how often our data is breached, shamed, and roofied. It's like Cosby's running the place. But times have been rough for whistleblowers, helping us take action. Julian Assange was once a handsome black man, but hasn't seen sunlight in years, hidden in El Baño in the Ecuadorian embassy. And Snowden is on his 1,856th bowl of borscht. So the battle for data rages on, across borders and hard drives everywhere. Somewhere in all that turmoil is salvation. So where's all this going? What happens next? Our new tools and actions will produce better platforms, but ones our founding fathers would never recognize. We're no longer fighting for liberty, independence, or rugged individualism like fat Avengers. We're fighting for maternal interdependence. You might even call it codependence. Think about it. Whether it's Bernie or Trump or any of our hashtag movements, people are not fighting against the establishment. They're fighting for a different kind of establishment, a motherly one that gives us education and healthcare and shared prosperity, or a fatherly one that gives us work and keeps us safe from invading tribes. American individualism has surrendered to the collective. We want mommy or daddy. Even the latest startups, food delivery, house cleaning, car service, and running errands are basically mommy substitutes. They're our new caretakers. Plus, let's face it, we're fresh out of revolutionaries. As a study by Publicis Group shows, most millennials, they trust corporations more than government to solve big problems, and they're gladly taking corporate jobs. Then when they were asked what they value most in a job, they said money, security, time off, great people, flexible work hours. So Che Guevara, take that, revolution. If we stay on this path, our new platforms, they're not going to topple the establishment, they'll make it bigger, but also more accountable. More data and transparency means it'll be harder for politicians and companies to hide facts and defend bad decisions. Just like we have cameras on cops, open secrets to track political corruption, and activists exposing farm animal abuse, we'll eventually have a Yelp for everything. And decentralized enemies like hackers and terrorists, they're not going to disappear, but they will weaken. they're going to have fewer and fewer places to hide. Crowdfunding and Bernie-style small fundraising, that's going to lead to a better allocation of resources and a fairer democracy. For better or worse, more and more of our freedoms will reside on a handful of massive private services like Twitter, WhatsApp, or Facebook. For now, they have the power to silence whoever they don't like, effectively depriving them of freedom. We haven't even begun confronting this reality. At the same time, these platforms will stitch us closer together, but in entirely new ways. Our new tribes aren't going to be based on borders or languages or even cultures, but on interests, philosophies, and beliefs. We're as likely to start a bar fight over climate change or the New England Patriots as we once were over God or country, as actual patriots. New startups will continue tool building for the big institutions. And corporations will use trade deals like the TPP to set global ground rules. But as a counterbalance, we're going to see a lot more collective action. Because as jobs go away, that will be our last source of leverage. The irony, of course, is that all these new tools can easily eliminate most bureaucracy, but few can scale fast enough to do it. So we're stuck teaching big old dogs new tricks, and they take forever to jump and roll over. Unfortunately, that means the right things won't always happen in the right order. That will create conflict and tension. At the end, all this conflict is an amazing gift. As technology eliminates jobs, the one thing it cannot eliminate is adversity. And it's adversity that gives rise to greatness, great artists and thinkers and makers. It creates the tension between opposing forces that fuels innovation. From American independence to civil rights to all of our modern conveniences, what would we have been without struggle? Sweden? No offense, but no thanks. I do believe our latest struggles will pave the way towards abundance. For some before others. It'll be a lumpy ride, but we will get there. Over the coming months, I'll cover how I think the McFuture will unfold. Don't forget to subscribe to these videos and the McFuture podcast. There, I'm going to explore all these topics in depth with Nobel Prize-winning economists, CEOs that are shaping the tools of the future, and cultural icons. Trust me, you will not want to miss it. I'm Steve Faktor, and I'll be your guide to the McFuture. Till next time.